Okay, Zoom link. Okay, I'm launching now this Zoom meeting. Is this already on?
Yes.
It's on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You just kind of like raise your hand like this. But I'm looking at the, not 10, no. 5 minutes before. And then, after the 5 minutes, 2 minutes before. Because it has to be exact. Exactly 30 minutes. Right now, showing the audio. Okay. Showing the audio. Wi-Fi or cellular data? Wi-Fi.
Recording in progress. None of us can. We can consider these points. So we have manifested from the Brahmajyoti. That's where we manifested from. And when we made this decision, bang, then we came to the body of Mahavishnu. And then from the body of Mahavishnu, we came into this material. That's the process, that's the route to entering.
Why is this now becoming dull? What is this? Unmute. Wait. Why am I not getting volume? I was getting volume. Wait.
Required to have that proper association. So, but we mostly just hear kata from Dasiras to Adiras. So, British Chandrarasa.
Move your tripod.
Well, this is
So it's not touching my tripod.
This is the Gyanis pursue that path. And they want to go back again into that Brahmajyoti. And they can succeed. They can go back into there. Gurudev described it one time. He says if you take a seed and you put it in a frying pan and you cook it, it becomes completely fried. It can never sprout into its personality again. It can never manifest again. It's dead. But that's what it's like to go back into the Brahmajyoti. It can never again engage. Although when it's in the Brahmajyoti, we have to remember that it is enhancing the light within the Brahmajyoti. And of Krishna's effulgence, it's a particle of illumination within that effulgence, so it never loses its natural propensity of Jiva Swarupa Krishna and Nityadas, because it's enhancing Krishna's effulgence. It's still serving Krishna. It's serving Krishna even in there. That cannot be, because that is Nitya. So even they merge into that Brahmajyoti, but their consciousnesses just remain completely neutral. It's horrible to even think about.
Is it possible by the grace of some great personality like Narada Muni?
Yes.
Traveling.
Let me tell you the string of the story. Gurudev landed this on us very clearly one time in Mathura, and we were all buzzing about it for about 3 days. We couldn't. 3 days later he said, but if some great saintly person like Narada Muni comes through the airways, then the dust from his lotus feet can again reignite that curiosity in the jiva, and again that ball, so to speak, arise, and again he can be confronted with the decision making. So we're all here, and we all made that wrong decision, but now we have to maintain our progressive walk towards Radha and Krishna, and we shouldn't go too slowly because we might get distracted on the way. So we need to actually, look for fifth gear and sixth gear here. Otherwise otherwise it's going to trip us up. We have to be as enthusiastic as conceivable within our adhikas, etc. Yeah.
Jai Maharaj. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us here. And it seems like divine arrangement to be able to go through the second article with you and have some time.
Yeah, I'm online and I'm watching the thing you're talking right now, and it looks to me like it's 2 minutes. 2 minutes until the cutoff time.
By the desire of our...
Well, it's 4:57 here.
And also Srila Gordon Maharaj's disappearances on the same day. I always think that he's hiding himself
2 minutes
out of
past.
humility, that people will mostly focus on Prabhupada Bhakti.
Oh, 4:56. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that was on my watch. Now I see. No,
So thank you so much,
4:56.
Now we have, I think, our Srimad Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj, who will be joining us. So
No, I'm set up already. I'm ready to go. The co-host has asked me to start the video. Okay, start my video.
Alright. Where's Maharaj? Inviting to
Okay.
unmute, and I'll introduce Maharaj now as well.
No. Okay, I have to put this phone down now. You
He was born
okay?
in the United
Because I'm on
States.
the other
He's a
phone.
disciple of Srila Padmanabha Swami Maharaj, receiving Harinam and Diksha in 1971 and 72 respectively. He had a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada before Kirtan with Srila Prabhupada in the final times, the final weeks in Vrindavan Dham, and he had Darshan with Srila Gurudev, I think, at the same
He's
time.
introducing me right now.
And Srimad Bhagavad Maharaj there in 1977 when Srila Gurudev visited our Prabhupada. And then he spent many years in the shelter of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaj, and then as when Srila Maharaj Apparavich, he had immediately had association with Srila Gurudev. And so receiving sannyas in 2002 up until now, he's still traveling and preaching extensively, although I saw a video, I think, last year where he promised to our previous speaker, Sri Bhakti Maharaj, he's never leaving India again. So I wonder if this is the case. Will not have his association once we go there. But fortunately, we have these bhakti zooms, and so I'm going to invite Maharaj to begin his invocation and Pushpanjali to our Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Citizens by Thakur now. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes. One second.
Also, Maharaj, I'll say
Yes.
to you directly, I generally like to just mention in the chat in a private message to you the time window, like 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left. So are you able to see the chat? Is that okay for you?
Am I able to see the chat? Not really.
Do you have it open?
Anyway, I have timing here. I have
So you have like 35 minutes or so. We have about 35 minutes.
35 minutes. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, thank you. Yes, I did indeed say what you told to Tridandi Maharaj as far as not leaving India. However, we are not the controllers, are we? We don't actually control. We have our plans, but Krishna is supreme controller. So, but this is my desire at this point. You have to close the door. Mosquitoes are coming in. Mosquitoes are now coming in. We didn't do anything about the mosquito. Turn on the mosquito thing. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Huh?
I have to stay outside
Okay.
because of
So I have a room full of devotees here. And devotees are coming in and out. But now I'm going to begin this presentation. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatara Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Iti Namani Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Iti Namani Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Iti Namani Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namani Shri Varsavana Videvi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhakti Da Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarani Rupanuga Virudhata Siddhanta Dvantaharani Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambudhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namani Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Goravir Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namah Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Trise Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Prem Ananda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali At the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And today, to my most revered and beloved Param Gurudev, Srila Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada, on his anniversary of 150 years from the time of his advent in this world, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams at his divine lotus feet and praying for a few drops of his causeless mercy. I offer my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Sri Rupanuga, Guru Varga, and I offer my Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis, and all throughout the world who are tuning in to this Zoom broadcast in the glorification of Srila Prabhupada. So, in 1970, in August, I took the step to enter into the spiritual ashram that had been started in Detroit in the United States, the Hare Krishna Temple. And there I began my life in the association of the devotees. From that very day, that association with the Vaishnavas never stopped, not one single day. So this, of course, this opportunity, how did it come to me? A tiny little jiva soul wandering in the unlimited ocean of material existence, and to so many hundreds and thousands of other conditioned souls, we somehow, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we came into contact with the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And with the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and with his messengers, chief of which is my beloved Gurudev Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. How did he come to the Western countries to deliver this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? How did he come? He came with great difficulty. There's a whole biographical literatures available to all of us to understand how he came across the oceans, even tolerating heart attacks, heart failure, and so many other tests going on for many years. And he, somehow or other, he produced the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, while he was living in Vrindavan, India, in Sri Sri Radha Damodar Temple, working very, very hard to give this to the whole world. But why did he do this? Why was he endeavoring so hard to accomplish this great task? Because he had been given the instruction by his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. Even upon their first meeting, when my Gurudev, at that time in household life, at that time in student life in the city of Calcutta, he came to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur one evening, being pulled there by a couple of his student friends from university who were very pious, and they wanted him. They wanted him. Don't distract. They wanted him to come and see this great sadhu, Vaishnava. But my Guru Maharaj had seen many, many sadhus of many, many different varieties as he was growing up, even as a child, in the home of his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, who was also a very great Vaishnava. But he was not impressed. Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu, my spiritual master, later became A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. He was not impressed by so many sadhus. But at any rate, somehow he came in front of this great personality who was now beginning to very openly and very deliberately preach the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all throughout the world, starting in Calcutta and starting in Mayapur Dham, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So this great personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, gave a talk that evening, and my spiritual master, along with a couple of his student friends, entered into the room. And when he entered into the room, he saw this divine personality sitting there, who had already begun his speech, and he and his friends, they paid their obeisances, their respects to him, and then they sat. And almost immediately, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur began to speak to them. And he told them, you are all young, educated men. And in the English language, you have been educated. You should preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking people of the world. And you should preach this message all over the world. So, when that suggestion was given by Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, who was looking at him and very impressed by him, but this raised a question in his mind, that you are telling to us, and he began to ask his question to Prabhupada, that you are suggesting to us that we should preach this message to the whole world. But who are we? We are from the Indian nation that has been conquered over and ruled by foreign countries and foreign powers for hundreds of years. What kind of status do we have in the eyes of the major nations of the world? What kind of credibility do we have? We are a nation that has been completely controlled by foreign powers. Who will listen to our message if we try to preach like this? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he then began to explain in such a wonderful way that my Gurudev, he was completely convinced. What did he tell to him? I wish we had a recording of those words, but our Prabhupada has told, in general, what he told was that this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is not subject to any of the conditions of this material world, such as political, social, economic, and so forth. It is not subject to that. It is not dependent on any material circumstances. So, when he explained this to my Guru Maharaj, then he began to think, yes, now this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the hands of a very capable personality. Very capable personality. And now the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be preached. Then he told to us, he said, after that meeting, first time I met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I began to think of him constantly. I began to think, how I have met such a saintly personality, such a divine personality. And in this way, his relationship began. Actually, he told that but because of his complete acceptance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, from the first moment of seeing him, he said, actually I accepted him in my heart. Actually I accepted him in my heart. And he says, actually I was initiated. I was initiated actually. Because what is initiation? It means full acceptance. Everyone turn off your phones. Everyone turn off the sound on your phones. So he said like this. And this relationship began to be cultured and cultivated over the period of the next 40 years through the association of the God brothers, the fellow disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He told, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj told about how he was always thinking about his Guru Maharaj throughout his life and how he can fulfill that instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, in this way, the years passed by, and around the year 1936, just prior to the disappearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in that year, he decided to write a letter to Srila Prabhupada. And he did write a letter which actually ended up being the final letter that he wrote to him, because within that month, then Srila Prabhupada, he departed from this world. But just 2 weeks before his departure, he received the answer to his letter from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And what was the answer to his letter? What was the question that he asked in his letter to Prabhupada? The question was, O Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, you have many disciples. Some of them are brahmacharis and sannyasis. They are able to serve full time. I am only a householder, and I do not have that freedom to be able to serve you in that way. But I ask you to tell me, what is your desire? How can I serve you? Please give me this answer. So 2 weeks before the departure of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he received his response letter. And in that response letter, then he told that you should preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English-speaking language to the whole world. And if you ever get some money, because you are a householder doing business, if you ever get some money, then print books. Print these transcendental literatures. That was the instruction to him. So my Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who was still in household life, now he understood, okay, what my Guru told me in our first meeting, he has now again reiterated at this time the same exact instruction. So that was 1936. Following that correspondence, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur departed from this world. And now the journey of his life, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, began in the absence of the physical presence of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And now he began to try somehow or other to pursue that order and that instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he did. He tried to produce a magazine called Back to Godhead, written in English language. He also, in household life, he made this very simple effort. And he did everything, even going out, printing the magazine, and then going out and visiting tea stalls where people were sitting and offering them to purchase the magazine like this. This went on all throughout the remainder of the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, for a long period. Anyway, later on, in the end of the 1950s, his godbrother, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, helped him to fulfill the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Why? Because for this personality, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta, in his dreams, his Guru Maharaj was coming to him, continually in his dreams, all throughout his household years as well, but especially towards the end. And in his dream, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted him to take sannyas. You must take sannyas. So gradually, this dream materialized in the form of his godbrother, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who came to visit him while he was in Mathura, Keshavji Gaudiya Math, and being hosted there by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, living there for many months, very happily. And then his godbrother came and also extended this instruction to him on behalf of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he told him, you have been given this service by our Guru Maharaj. You must take sannyas. You cannot do this. You cannot fulfill unless you take sannyas. So eventually he did on Vishwarup Mahotsav Day in Keshavji Gaudiya Math Mathura in 1959. Yes, 1959. And then his work on the Srimad Bhagavatam began in Radha Damodar Temple, and he, somehow or other, Krishna arranged for him to get passage to the Western countries and landing in New York City, beginning his preaching mission there. So in this way, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he became the emissary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur for the whole entire world. This could not have happened unless Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave those instructions. This could not have happened unless Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to send one of his own men from the spiritual world. And that was fulfilled in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son in the form of, yes, again, Vimala Prasad, born in Jagannath Puri, in the very sacred place of Lord Jagannath. So I want to read the poem that my Srila Prabhupada wrote on the Vyasa Puja day of his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
I just want to let you know 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I love this poem. All of us Prabhupada disciples love this poem because Srila Prabhupada wrote this poem to his Guru Maharaj. And how we developed our relationship with his Guru Maharaj? Why? Because he had so much love and affection, so much dedication to him. We understood this story, that he was coming to us all the way across the oceans. Why? Because of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's order. We all understood this. And right from the very beginning, we had so much love and attachment to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And when we saw our Srila Prabhupada and we heard our Srila Prabhupada glorify his Guru Maharaj, on his Vyasa Puja day, there's a recording, it's also on YouTube, where Srila Prabhupada became so overwhelmed emotionally, and he began weeping in separation mood from his Guru Maharaj. So we've seen all these things. And this poem encapsulates in a very sweet and simple way the mood that Srila Prabhupada had toward his Guru Maharaj. And really this is the way that we can also have the same kind of mood toward our Guru Maharaj. So he says, adore, adore ye all the happy day, blessed than heaven, sweeter than May, when he appeared at Puri, the holy place, my Lord and Master, his divine grace. O my Master, the evangelic angel, give us thy light, light up thy candle, struggle for existence, a human race, the only hope is divine grace. Misled we are, all going astray. Save us, Lord, our fervent pray. Wonder thy ways to turn our face. Adore thy feet, your divine grace. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen souls, pain most heavy, the illusions toll. Darkness all around, all untrace. The only hope is divine grace. Message of service thou hast brought, a healthful life as Chaitanya wrought. Unknown to all, it's full of grace. That's your gift, your divine grace. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. This gives us a life anew and fresh. Worship thy feet, your divine grace. Had you not come, who had told the message of Krishna, forceful and bold, that's your right. You have the mace. Save me a fallen, your divine grace. The line of service, as drawn by you, is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. The oldest of all, but in new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. Miracle done, your divine grace. So this is our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's glorification of his Guru Maharaj. How many more minutes I have? 2.
You have 5 more minutes, Maharaj.
Okay.
You give some report on the instances.
Yes.
It's, there's some amazing
I plan to do that. So here Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, he's saying that such a day in Jagannath Puri, that holy place, so holy place, that is where he descended. And yes, that was a very happy day, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood, Krishna has answered my prayers. And Prabhupada said, he used the word sweeter than May. I just heard him say this on a lecture. Why he used that? Because he heard that in the Western countries, the month of May is a very sweet month, beginning of spring and all of that. So he said, blessed than heaven, sweeter than May. Yes, when he appeared at Puri, that holy place. So he says here that the whole struggle for existence of the human race, everyone in the material world is struggling and struggling for existence all the time. There's never a time when people are not struggling for existence. And he's praying to him, please give us thy light. Light up thy candle. Because who is he? He's the evangelic angel. The angel who has descended from Goloka Vrindavan to give this message. Then he says, misled we are, all going astray. That means everyone in the material world is misguided, misled in this Kali Yuga. And therefore we have to pray for being saved. Save us, Lord, our fervent prayer. Wonder thy ways to turn our face. Adore thy feet, your divine grace. Yes, wonder thy ways. Somehow or other, you are turning our faces away from this illusion of this world and towards Krishna. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen souls, paying most heavy the illusion's toll. Yeah, that's why we're here, paying this toll tax of Maya Devi. So many lifetimes of sinful reaction and so much suffering because we forgot Krishna. And what is our situation? There's darkness all around. Agyan timirandasya. So the only hope, your divine grace. Message of service thou hast brought. A healthful life as Chaitanya wrought. Yes. We experience this. How this message of Krishna, this service message, was put into action when Srila Prabhupada started his Krishna consciousness movement. And we came into that and we realized what a nice, beautiful lifestyle. Very beautiful and sweet. That's your gift, your divine grace. And then comes the famous verse, absolute is sentient. This is the verse that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself, he read this poem, he loved it. But he said this verse he particularly appreciated. Why? Because in this verse, he encapsulated the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to completely defeat all Mayavadism and impersonalism and voidism. You see? That's why our Srila Prabhupada included that in his pranam mantra that he gave to us. So absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. He is not without senses. He is a supreme personality of Godhead. Impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. Yeah. That means that this is a great calamity. Those who are captured by Mayavadism, they are stuck in a very dangerous situation. So, impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. This gives us a life anew and fresh. Worship thy feet, your divine grace. And had you not come, who had told the message of Krishna forceful and bold, so where would we be if you had not come and told? That's your right. You have the mace. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Jagat Guru, the personality who descended from Goloka Vrindavan to save the entire world. And then he preached this message, and he enlisted a whole army of young, educated persons in India, and the Gaudiya Math began to explode in all directions. So our Srila Prabhupada, by his mercy and by his blessings of his Guru Maharaj, he did the same thing throughout the whole world. So therefore we understand, really, it's the empowerment of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who is doing that. And Prabhupada also wrote that in his poem when he came across on the Jaladuta, and he said, this personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is the personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who will bring this message of Krishna to the whole world. If I had time, I'd also read those verses. So the final verse, he's saying, the line of services drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. Anyone that comes into this line of service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Gauranga, and Rupanuga Guru Varga, they will have a very happy life, and they will serve Krishna in happiness, in good health, and just like the sweetness of morning dew in the morning on the leaves. So he says, finally, the oldest of all, but in a new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. So this is our beloved Srila Prabhupada's poem. I wanted to also read some other time the poems of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj glorifying Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The Vyasa Puja offerings of my beloved Srila Prabhupada, there are also others that he wrote which are amazing, amazing. So the beginning, this is the beginning of this entire year of the birth and anniversary appearance of 150th anniversary of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and this glorification of him should go on for the entire year. Just like we tried to do that for our Srila Gurudev for his 100th anniversary. We should also do that for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So my time has run out. I pray that all the Vaishnavas bless me, that one day I can have just even one little drop of sincerity and one little drop of desire to serve my Guru as my Srila Prabhupada had to serve his Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We pray for his blessings. Vansha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu devasya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing. I know that as soon as you turn the camera off, you'll continue with all the devotees you have there to give them so much nourishment and giving us so much nourishment. I love this connection that you drew for us here. It's like our Prabhupada, just by having dived so deeply into the moods and teachings of his Prabhupada, now one of his sevas was taking the name Prabhupada all over the world. And so we think, many of us Westerners, we hear Prabhupada, we think of our Srila Swami Prabhupada. But when he was having that name all over the world, he's thinking, my Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. And so it's like such a sweet, intimate relationship between disciple and guru that they had together.
Yes, let me make just one quick comment on what you're saying. Once Srila Prabhupada was in a big, huge assembly of the devotees, and they were chanting, Jaya Guru Deva, like that. Prabhupada's head was down like this, sitting on the Vyasasana. And then they began chanting Jaya Prabhupada, and his head immediately came up. Because whenever he would hear the name Prabhupada, he told this also, whenever they chant the name Prabhupada, I immediately think of my Prabhupada. So that was his great service to actually bring Srila Prabhupada in the form of his name, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, to the whole world as his humble servant.
Jai, thank you so much for sharing, and that poem is so sweet. So now I'm going to invite our next speaker. We have Sripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj. So I am going to bring him on screen here, introducing Maharaj to those devotees who maybe don't know him. So Sripad Maharaj, he started associating with devotees in 1978. He spent a decade on book distribution. He opened a preaching center in Birmingham in England in 1989, and in 1993 was given a Diksha initiation from our Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, which I know that this day is especially important for him, because this is also the Tirubhav Tithi of Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj. So I know that it puts Maharaj in such a deep mood of remembrance. And in 2002, he took initiation for sannyas from our Srila Gurudev. So from 1996, the departure of Srila Govind Maharaj up until now even, he's under the shelter of Srila Gurudev as well. So very fortunate to have Sri Padmanabha Maharaj here sharing, very fired up Sankirtan leader, and I'm sure he'll have much to give to us. And also this will be my ending time, so Jashoda and Rabu will be jumping in and emceeing from here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Is my voice okay?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Guru. Yashoda Prabhu ki jai. Dandavad Maharaj, Haribol. 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 Do you want me to signal to you at 5 minutes? Would that work? No, tell me 15, 10, and 5. 15, 10, and 5. Okay. So I get paid extra for that. Huh? Why not? Okay. You have half an hour. You're minting it with this program. You're getting a lot of wealth in bhakti. A winner. It's a winner. By your grace. So, you have 30 minutes, Maharaj. 30 minutes, okay. So, I have 17:41 by my time. So, that's 18:10.
You want to hear Ashram Maharaj? Or do you want that I continue with our discussion? Huh? I can't hear you.
I will have a question to you. A question.
So, what do you want to do? What?
I think Maharaj needs to speak. I can hear the recording of
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Okay. Please go. I don't Okay, wait a second. Post it. I don't know how much gigabytes I have left on here, but nevertheless, I'll put it on. I'll put it on live, Facebook Live, until it runs out. Okay. You had a question, Maharaj?
Yeah.
Is that in relation to the topic?
To Prabhupada going to America.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because when Prabhupada lost his business,
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
then he came to Mathura.
Right.
And Gurudev told the story, how it happened, that
Yeah.
he met him in Vishwanath.
Yeah.
He has gone in one hotel, small hotel,
Right.
and he had some medical recipe he
Yeah.
was trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So his mood was not to do anything more than that for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
And when Gurudev saw him, he asked him, why are you staying in this place? You can come to our temple, we give you a nice room, and you can be
Yeah.
there, and you can preach also, give classes,
Yeah.
which Prabhupada did, he gave class, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada had a disease also that he didn't want to take care of, but Gurudev told him, you should take care of this.
Right. I told all of this story on another day.
What?
This story that you're telling about how Prabhupada came and how Gurudev...
No, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm just bringing the
Okay, the background.
context.
Okay.
Then Prabhupada was inspired by Srila Gurudev to come to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And from the temple, he got the desire to take sannyas in order to go to preach to the West. So my question is that how much instrumental was Gurudev and Bhakti Pragyan Kishore Maharaj in inspiring Srila Prabhupada to go to the West? Because according to what I've heard, Prabhupada was not in the mood of going in for the time being because he had lost his business and everything, and he was trying to survive with some medical necessities.
Yeah.
So something happened in the temple, and I know that some people think in a way that it was 100% helpful for Prabhupada to become inspired to go to the West. But to respond devotees every Sunday, and then Prabhupada always wants to go to the West, and it's just that he went to that place. So what do you think about this one?
What's the question?
How instrumental was Gurudev, and then bringing Prabhupada at the point of taking sannyas from Bhakti Pragyan Kishore Maharaj, deciding to go to the West, like you just explained that Bhakti Pragyan Kishore Maharaj, if you want to go and preach to the West, you have to take sannyas. How much instrumental were there, Gurudev and Ram Gurudev, to inspire Prabhupada to go to the West?
Well, what I outlined, what I spoke just now, I explained how the history of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur giving the instruction to Prabhupada the first time that they met. And how later on he wrote that letter. I think you were here when I spoke that, yeah. So Srila Prabhupada's relationship with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that service was very specifically given to him. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, as his very intimate, dear godbrother, friend, and like a Siksha Guru figure for him, he inspired him that you are the person, this is the seva that has been given to you by our Guru Maharaj. You have to do this, but you cannot do this unless you take sannyas.
Yeah.
Not only, it's not that it is the first time, because as I mentioned, and Prabhupada himself told, that he was receiving dreams, even when he was young, practically. Even when he was young, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was coming to him in dreams. So this decision to take sannyas was already inside of him, but he needed to have some positive confirmation that this is now what he needs to do. So Krishna arranged that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. There's also the story how Srila Sridhar Maharaj was staying in his house in Calcutta before he left. And he also had the dream. And he woke up. That's in Mula Prakriti's book, And Srila Sridhar Maharaj is telling the story how he woke up in the middle of the night and he came to him and he said, I have had this dream. Our Guru Maharaj came to me and told me to take sannyas. What should I do? They discussed it. And then it came another day, same thing, another dream. And then again they sat and they discussed. So exactly what they discussed, how they discussed, we don't know all those details, but we certainly know that our Srila Prabhupada he was feeling the weight of this on his shoulders, on his head, that he has to do this. But as Gurudev also explained, and you'll remember this, Gurudev, when he met Prabhupada there in Mathura and brought him to the temple and all of that, he said that Prabhupada then expressed to him, he told him the story that when he was younger, he had a dream of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and how he came to him that he should leave family life and he should take sannyas. And he said, I was horrified. He used the word horrified, But also, because Srila Prabhupada, in his astrological birth chart, it indicated there that he would be one of the most wealthy people in India. It actually showed that in his birth chart. So, because of that, to some extent, he was thinking, well, that's my pathway. I'm destined to have wealth. So therefore he was trying in his life. And then Gurudev tells the story of how he told to how he told to him that the story of how he was endeavoring, and he was becoming successful in his life. There were 3 time periods where he was at first a manager in that Dr. Bose's factory, and he was becoming very, very successful. And then after that fell through. So then what he did in his family life, he moved to Allahabad. And then he started his own chemical factory, and he had a shop there. And he had some very high-profile customers, like even the former president of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan, and so forth. So he was, at that time, he had become successful again. He was very prosperous. But then that also, eventually, over time, it also failed. Second time. First success, failure. Second time success, failure. And then the third time, now that's when he moved to Calcutta. And he bought these 2 houses side by side, which had 2 stories, 2 floors. And in one house, his family lived. He lived with his family. And in the other house, on the ground level, was a shop for his pharmaceuticals. And on the top level, it was empty. He kept that as a place to host visiting sadhus, Vaishnavas, godbrothers. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj was one of the ones who frequently came there. When he came, he would go out and preach in Calcutta, but he would stay there. So at that period of time, it became very difficult because his business was not flourishing very much at all. In fact, it was failing. So gradually his family members, they began to look at him like, oh, he's useless. You know? So there's a verse, there's a shloka. Prabhupada told the shloka to Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj, and where Krishna is telling in the Bhagavatam, Yasyaham anugranami harishye tad dhanam shanai. When I want to give my full mercy to someone, I take away all of his dhanam, his wealth. Harishye, I take it away. And then the second part of the verse says, then when his family members and relatives, they see him in that condition, now they consider him to be useless and they reject him. And then in that condition, he comes and takes full shelter of my lotus feet, Krishna says. So Srila Prabhupada told this story to Srila Narayan Maharaj that now, at this point in my life, what I was fearing from my early days, you know, what I was fearing about sannyas and about leaving my business life and all of that, now it has come on my head. This is exactly what he told Gurudev. So naturally, it was the time period of Srila Prabhupada's life where now he'd left family, and now he's officially like Vanaprastha. And he wants to live in the Dham, and he wants to do bhajan, and that's his desire, and he wants to continue pursuing the order of his Guru Maharaj. So it was at that time that Krishna sent Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, and he is the person who is the instrument. Prabhupada says that he was the instrument of my Guru Maharaj to force me to take sannyas. You see. So as far as sannyas is concerned, absolutely, there was a lot of influence from Srila Narayan Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. But it was all a lifetime of development and a lifetime of pursuing this instruction. So after, even before Prabhupada took sannyas, he went to Jhansi, nearby to Vrindavan, and that was when he tried to start a society called the League of Devotees. He actually wrote everything, he registered the society and everything. That's when he got that deity of Mahaprabhu to have there, But it was not going as it appeared, because in the beginning the people promised some property, this, that. So finally Srila Gurudev came there. Srila Narayan Maharaj came to visit there and looked at the whole situation. He said, this is not working. Better to come back to the mat. So then Prabhupada came back. But there is no question that Srila Prabhupada had a very strong desire to start a preaching society, a preaching institution. But as far as going to the West, I'm sure that he was thinking about it. There's no question that he wasn't thinking about it, because he was one of the persons, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent a few of his disciples to the West to preach. And Prabhupada was there when they returned back. There's the picture of Bhaktivedanta Maharaj in the train station in Bombay, or was it Calcutta, where they received him, and there's like a big, huge group picture. Big, huge picture. He's sitting there in the middle with his danda and his turban. And the two first European devotees are sitting there also with turbans on, off onto the left side. And then over on the right side, far right, is our Prabhupada, who's sitting on a chair, and he's very, very absorbed in what's going on there. Okay, here's another story. Just your question reminded me of this. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told this story. After Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left this world, our Prabhupada was in Bombay. And so Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was also there in Bombay. And who was the other one? I think it was Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj, I think. The elderly sannyasi, the disciple of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Anyway, Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained that they wanted to start a Gaudiya Math in Bombay. So they made a three-party team, three-person team. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained that Abhay Charan Prabhu, Abhay Charan Aravinda Prabhu, he would bring us to different business people who he knew as contacts. And then he would do the introduction in their office. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj would do the preaching. He would preach to them, right? And then canvassing for the donation at the end. I'm trying to remember who it was. Who was the canvasser? But anyway, it might have been Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. So they did this in this way, and they went from one person, and they raised funds, and they got financial support and everything like that. Then it so happened that it was time for the arrival back from England and Germany of the preacher that had been sent by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhakti Hridoy Bhan Maharaj. And now he was arriving back, because at that time they took the ship, through the Mediterranean, Suez Canal, and they came to Bombay, like the opposite direction of how Prabhupada's ship left. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj told the story that when they had a chance in a smaller space without a lot of people there, naturally these two persons, Bhaktivedanta, Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu and Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj had also been told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that he wanted him to also go to the West to preach, because he was so fluent in English. Huh? He also asked him, but then others told, no, he will be the ladies will become too much attracted to him. And he's younger, he was a bit younger. So, anyway, they wanted to have Srila Hridoy Bhan Maharaj. They invited him into some room, and then they wanted to sit him down and ask him the questions. What was it like there? Tell us. What was your experience being in the West? This is the first time in history that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas have gone. So they were very, very eager to hear from him. What was his experience? What was it like trying to preach to them in their country? So you know what Bhan Maharaj did? What he told? He said, I'm sure he told many things, but one of the things that he told was, you know, the Western people, they ask many questions. And some of those questions are very difficult, and practically you can't even answer them. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, questions? What questions? And then Bon Maharaj, in the presence of Abhayachan and Aravinda and whoever else was there, Bon Maharaj began to mention, well, they ask such and such question. Srila Sridhar Maharaj heard it, and then he answered it perfectly. And then, next question, next question, next question. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, one by one, he completely dismantled every single question. He completely answered perfectly every single question. And then Bon Maharaj said, well, that's all the questions. And you know what our Prabhupada did at that moment? He stood up in the assembly and he made a proclamation. Today, Europe has been conquered by Asia. Gaur Premanand. So there is no doubt whatsoever that our Srila Prabhupada had a very strong intention, somehow or other, whatever way it was going to happen. I mean, he even tried to go to China or Japan, was it? That, you remember how he wrote that book? He had an opportunity to go to some big fair or festival. He was given some invitation to go to Japan and to present the philosophy there. So while Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, he began preparing for such a journey. What did he do? He wrote an entire book that is based upon the chapter in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam called the autumn season in Vrindavan, where there's so many analogies, like that. Because he knew that Oriental people, they like nature. They like so much nature.
Like the Bible?
What? Yeah, it's called Light of the Bhagavad. Light of the Bhagavad. Later it was not translated, but published. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, when he started to go to China, he got a hold of that manuscript and he published it. But not only that, Srila Prabhupada even commissioned Indian artists to paint paintings that would depict each particular analogy from nature, like nature pictures, in the style of art, of that Oriental style of art, So later on, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he got actual Chinese artists to paint very beautiful paintings. So that book is one of the BBT published books. You've seen it.
Oh yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah, Light of the Bhagavad. Yeah. So the thing is that even though he made all those preparations, it fell through. So Krishna had a plan. It wasn't meant to go to Japan. So Krishna had the plan, and because he came in contact with Sumati Morarji, who was the owner of a navigation steamship company, big Scindia, it's called Scindia, Scindia Steamship Navigation Company. So anyway, we know the whole story of how Srila Prabhupada, he impressed her so much.
You met her?
No, I never personally met her. Oh, okay.
We went to her place from our place.
Okay. I've seen the video of her telling her memories, but I've not met her. She's passed away now, right? Yeah. So anyway, she was trying to tell Srila Prabhupada that you are old. Now you are old, Swamiji.
She still did the same thing when we went.
Yeah, she told you the same story, right? He said, you may die there even, And then Prabhupada just answered, she told that Prabhupada answered her and said, but this is the order of my Guru Maharaj. I must do this, I must do this. And she says, oh, okay, I make the arrangement. So she made the arrangement.
And Maharaj, before that also, he needed her to get some money to print his books.
Yeah.
He didn't have any money.
Right.
He wanted to meet her.
Yeah.
But she couldn't receive him, you know.
Yeah.
And then he sat down on a staircase.
Yeah.
In her
Office.
And then she found that she looked like, who is the sadhu there?
Right.
And she was attracted to sadhus. Naturally.
Yeah.
She had some inclination, like charitable.
Right.
And then she asked Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada just took this opportunity to
opportunity.
ask her to print
Yes.
some of these books, you know, and she did it.
She took a great liking to Prabhupada,
Yeah.
actually. She loved his Harikatha. So, Krishna arranged this. So then Prabhupada began that journey and wrote the poem on the ship. How deeply he was thinking of his Guru Maharaj, on the ship.
On the way also he stopped in Colombo.
Yes, and they got off the
They
ship.
got up and they took him to the best streets inside to show him the city.
Yeah, it's in his diary because there's the 2 diaries that Prabhupada kept after leaving India. He kept one diary while he was on the Jaladuta. So that's called the Jaladuta diary. BBT printed that. It's also in the folio. And the other diary, it began once he came to New York from Butler and was in the middle of the winter and struggling. Now he began to keep a diary. That's very amazing, that diary.
You arrived in Boston, no?
Yeah, first.
And the captain of the ship
Yes.
came around
Yeah.
to show him the peaceful place.
Yeah.
But there was somebody who was supposed to pick him up
Yeah.
from the Boston place to the ladies' where he was about to live with,
Oh, yeah.
But nobody came.
To Butler. Right, so he went back on the ship and then he came.
Yeah.
But while he was on the ship in Boston Harbor, that's when he wrote the other poem. On the ship in Boston Harbor. It's called Markandeya Bhagavata Dharma. And it's about how Prabhupada is saying, oh my dear Lord Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here to this horrible place. But you must have some work for me to do here. That's why you brought me. And then he began to say, I don't know how they'll be able to understand your message because they're so covered by passion and ignorance and everything else. So in this way,
Even that lady who was receiving Srila Prabhupada, she felt a little bit, not ashamed, but she felt that.
I mean, the lady in Butler, Pennsylvania, you mean?
Yeah, what's
Sally
that?
Agarwal.
Agarwal.
Sally Agarwal.
I read it, I think.
Yeah.
It's like I say properly, that she felt that this person is not like us,
Yeah.
He's dressing in a way that is not very appealing to the neighborhood. If they see him like this coming to my place, what the people will think, So she felt a little bit embarrassed by Srila Prabhupada being at her place. And then she wanted to make this element something, which would be acceptable through, broadcasting the news to newspaper. So she went to a big newspaper of the regions, and then they didn't want to do anything about this. Then she went to a local newspaper.
Right.
The local newspaper made a big thing about it. Then she became very happy. Everybody was like glorifying. Oh, she has a sadhu at her place, like this. In this way, it saves her from being ashamed, not.
No, but she had on a video, which she was being interviewed, she enjoyed so much. She said that was one of the happiest times of my life when he was staying in our house cooking. We also ate his cooking, and he was so affectionate to my little son Braj. His name was Braj, and like that.
Talking about the first impression, then afterwards.
Yeah.
Prabhupada is not the person that she was thinking about when she met him and then associated that she realized it was oceanic smiling. She was talking about. Prabhupada was also glorifying her baby when he started walking.
Yeah. There's the picture where he's holding his hand and smiling like anything. Oceanic. She told that. His smile was oceanic. So anyway, regarding your question, I think that pretty much answers.
I would say something, but I don't know in public, because I spoke to Madame Maharaj. He was there.
Who was where?
Madame Maharaj.
Was where? Where he was where?
When Prabhupada was coming to this Keshavji Gaudiya
To Keshavji Gaudiya
Maharaj
Madhav
was
Maharaj.
there. He saw everything, he witnessed everything.
Wait. Prabhupada was there in the 1950s.
Yeah, sorry.
Madhav Maharaj was not there.
No, he was not there, but he knew about the whole thing, what happened,
Okay, yeah, sure, he heard.
So one day I asked him this question, don't tell this question to anybody else because then it could be not bad.
Maharaj, why don't you come and sit here because I'm filming this.
They're filming?
Oh, wait a minute. I'll turn it this way.
No, why?
Turn it.
No one.
Yes, because so the people can see online. So go ahead.
I don't want this question to go online.
All right, go ahead.
So the question I asked Srila Madhav Maharaj is that if Srila Gurudev was not instrumental for Srila Prabhupada to go to the West, because that was the idea of taking sannyas, and Prabhupada was very reluctant to take sannyas. He didn't want even to hear about this. He thought, I will be a street beggar. And he was already in a bad situation, having lost everything. So I asked Madhav Maharaj, with Srila Prabhupada, without the pushing, the help of Srila Gurudev and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, would he have gone to the West? Yes or no? Finally. And Madhav Maharaj said no. He was not planning to. He was
only his opinion.
His opinion, yeah. Because the way that Gurudev explained that Prabhupada was not in the mood of going to the West when he met him. He had already faced, like how you say in English, lost everything. And he had some medical recipe. He came to Vrindavan, Mathura to sell some medical recipes. So his mood was not to prepare to go to the West. And how long would have been this mood going on if Srila Gurudev would have not been behind and called him to the mat in order to inspire him to take sannyas and everything. Also the idea of taking sannyas, Prabhupada was not at all willing to. He was very reluctant to take sannyas.
Yeah, we just discussed that.
Yeah, but Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj said, you cannot go to the West if you don't take sannyas. And Prabhupada was not wanted to take sannyas. So we could think that Prabhupada was not ready or not thinking about going to the West. Possible.
No, I don't accept that.
No, maybe not. But I asked the question of the devotees who were very close to Prabhupada at the time, close to Gurudev at the time. Madhav Maharaj was very close to Gurudev, and they must have speaking together about those things. And this is the way that he answers my question. He said he would have not gone. But anyway, Krishna's plans is like, completely, absolute. So, bring up Prabhupada to the point that he took sannyas and then went to the West.
No, we just had this discussion about the role that was played by Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, by our Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj. Certainly they played an instrumental role. In the pure devotees' lives, so many personalities are involved and they play roles in their lives. But I can never accept that our Srila Prabhupada was not at some point, because this is, when he first came to Keshavji Gaudiya Math, that was around 1954, 55, okay? It was nearly 10 years later. He spent all that time in the Dham. So what was going on internally in him, how he was endeavoring, all those things, it indicates very clearly. Otherwise, why was he translating Srimad Bhagavatam, in English language? Because he was planning to go to the West, okay? So that desire, and that was definitely in his heart. So no one can say that if Srila Narayan Maharaj had not, given that encouragement to him to take sannyas and so forth, naturally that was a step that had to be taken. And there's no doubt at all that Srila Narayan Maharaj played a very wonderful role in inspiring Prabhupada. And then he also, when Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj came, he also requested his Gurudev like that. But they knew each other already. Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj knew our Srila Prabhupada for many years before that. Many, many years. Like decades, okay? So how the discussions, what they had, everything. There's no doubt that our Srila Prabhupada had the intention, he definitely had the intention to bring this message out of India. Not that he was only going to print his little Back to Godhead magazine. Otherwise he would not have started to translate Srimad Bhagavatam into English, you know. So anyway, it happened. That's the whole point, is that it happened. And the personality who is behind everything is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. So just to complete our little class, I'm just going to read the few verses from Srila Prabhupada's poem that he wrote on the Jaladuta about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he mentions him in his poems. Okay, diaries. Srila Prabhupada's Jaladuta diaries. Okay, here it is. Yes. Prayers written by Srila Prabhupada aboard the Jaladuta. Prayer to the lotus feet of Krishna. So the first prayer, there were two prayers. But this first prayer, can you close the door? Otherwise mosquitoes will come. So now the first verse of this prayer, and this is actually Srila Prabhupada's prayer to Krishna, to Krishna's lotus feet. And he says, Krishna tava punya habe bhai, e punye koribe jabe radha rani kushi habe, dhruva ati boli tomatai. Here he is telling to Krishna, Prabhupada is telling to Krishna, oh my dear brother, he's calling him like Bhai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Punya habe bhai means, oh, you will attain your good fortune. When? When Radharani becomes pleased with you. He's telling to Krishna, Radharani, when she becomes pleased with you, that is when you will obtain your good fortune, Krishna. You know that, Krishna. I know that you know that. Yeah? And so he says, I am emphatically telling this to you, O Krishna. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explained what Srila Prabhupada was thinking here. Because now Srila Prabhupada was on this big ship, crossing the ocean. He had 2 heart attacks. Somehow or other he made it through without leaving his body. And now he's on the ship, crossing the Atlantic, and he writes this prayer to Krishna. And his objective is to convince Krishna that Krishna should help him. He should help him in his desire to serve Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained that the mood that Prabhupada is writing this is to tell that my Guru Maharaj is the most intimate maidservant of Srimati Radharani, of Rupa Manjari, and like this. So he or she has given me this order, and since she is the most beloved servitor of Radharani, if you help me to fulfill her order, Nayana Mani Manjari, then Radharani will be very pleased with you, Krishna. He's making a negotiation with Krishna. Do you understand? You don't understand. What? Oh, no voice.
I cannot speak at all.
Oh, okay. You lost your voice today.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's just the refrain. This is the first verse and that's the refrain. But the very first verse of the song is Prabhupada talking about, he mentions the name Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priyati. You know this song. That he is very dear to the son of Mother Sachi, Lord Chaitanya. This Siddhanta Saraswati. Krishna Sebai Jar Tula Nai. There is no one who can compare with his service to Krishna. So Prabhupada is not on his own behalf. He's talking about his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Then he says, Se Mohant Guru, Jagater Madhe Uru, Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tai. It means that he is the very exalted Guru. Mohant Guru. Mahant Guru. It is him. He is the Mahant Guru. And he is very dear to the son of Mother Sachi, and therefore he's always giving service to Krishna. Krishna Sevai Jar Tulanai. There's no one compared to him. How he's distributing the message of Mahaprabhu and engaging everyone to serve Krishna. So, in the whole universe, Jagater Madhe Uru, there is no one as great as him. Mahant Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tai. And he is giving Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tai, means here, there, everywhere. He is giving Krishna Bhakti. So that's the first verse. Then the second verse says about his strong desire. What is the strong desire of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? Tar Icha Balavan. Balavan means very strong, very powerful. Pascha Chete Tan Tan Hoi Jate Goram Geranam. His strong desire is that the holy name of Gauranga Mahaprabhu will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world. And then he says, Pritiviti Nagaradi Asamudra Nadanadi Sakale Loy Krishnanam. Now he says, in all the cities of the world, all the towns, villages on earth, from all the oceans, the seas, the rivers, and the streams, everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. That's his desire. And then he says, Tahale Anande Hoy, Tabe Hoy Digvijay, Chaitanyara Kripa Atishai. This means, as this Chaitanyara Kripa, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it conquers all directions, and a flood of transcendental ecstasy. Anande, Tahale Anande Hoy. This ecstasy will cover everywhere, the lands. So Prabhupada is envisioning this happening. Why? Because of his Guru Maharaj. Then he says, Maya Dushta Jata Duki, Jagate Sabai Sukhi. He's saying that all the miserable jivas, they're all suffering so much in this world. And by this flood of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, all these jivas will become very happy. Sabai Sukhi. And then, what will happen? Vaishnavar Icha Puranahoy. That means that in the heart, the desire of all the Vaishnavas to see this happen, it will be fulfilled. You see. Now he says, Jai Karja Jai Koribare Agya Jadi Dila More Jogya Nahi An Deenhim. He says, I'm very deenhim. I'm very worthy, I'm very unfit. Although my Guru Maharaj has ordered me to accomplish this mission, this one, to bring the name of Mahaprabhu everywhere. But I'm so fallen and insignificant. I'm not fit to do it. So therefore, my Lord, Tai se tomar kripa, magi techi anurupa, aji numi sabar praveen. My dear Lord, now I'm begging for your mercy, so that I may become worthy. Because you, O Krishna, you're the wisest, and you're the most experienced of all. Aji numi sabar praveen. Praveen means very expert, very And then he says, if you bestow your power to me, Tomar se Shakti Pele. Shakti Pele. If you give me your Shakti, Krishna, Guru Sevai Vastu Mile, then by the service to Guru, Vastu Mile means that I will meet the Absolute Lord, Krishna, Vastu, the Supreme Truth. Jivan Sartak Jadihoy. And then one's life will become successful by this mercy and this power. So he's praying to Krishna, give me Shakti, give me power. Then he says, if that service is obtained to Krishna, the Absolute Truth, seva paile tahale sukhi hale tava sangha bhagyate miloy. He said, if one attains that service, then one becomes completely happy, sukhi. And what happens? Tava sangha bhagyate miloy. He becomes so fortunate that he attains your association, Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse. There's only 3 more verses of his composition, but he first of all quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. Evam janam nipatitam prabhava vikupe. So, and then Prabhupada, in a very emotional way, he gradually ends his prayer. But the main thing I wanted to show you from this prayer is that from the very beginning of his prayer, he's talking about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, mentioning his name directly in his prayer to Krishna. So this is why I cannot separate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada from my Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I cannot separate them. They are one. They are one. See? So, and that relationship is why the whole world has received the message of Krishna, because of the relationship of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati with this one very, very sincere disciple who was willing to completely give up everything, no other desire than this one desire, to carry out his mission. And that's how it happened. This is the background of that. So for us who have been rescued by our Srila Prabhupada, we cannot see anything other than the divine mercy and the hand of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was also rescuing us through the hands of his servant, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And our Prabhupada used to tell us, we were very young at that time. I was only a teenager when I came. And we were very young, but Prabhupada, he became our father. Really, he was our father. Completely our father. No question about it. He is my real father. Yes, Krishna arranged that in my life. But Prabhupada also told us, he said, actually, the grandfather is even more affectionate to the grandchild than the father. More affectionate. So we understood that from our beginning days at Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And every day, many times a day, when we would pay our obeisances and we would recite the pranam mantra that Srila Prabhupada gave to us, there we would hear the name Saraswati Devi. Maum Vishnu, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine. So Prabhupada gave us the pranam mantra that we would meditate upon him every single day, multiple times a day. That, O servant of Saraswati Goswami, that's how he wanted us to understand him. That he's the servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And because of that relationship of being his servant, Gauravani Pracharane, you are preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya, Gauravani. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshata. Where are you preaching this message? In Paschatya Desh, which is full of what? Nirvisheshvad, impersonalism, and Nirvishesha Shunyavad, and voidism, like Buddhism, Shunya. Shunya means zero. Everything is nothing. So, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarane. And by preaching this message of Lord Chaitanya, Gauravani Pracharane, now you are doing what? Tarane. Tarane means you are delivering. You are delivering. Yes. Somehow or other I've run out of, but it's still showing the video. But I think it's no longer finished because 100% of my has been used up for today. But it's still so I'm just bringing this to a close now. How our Srila Prabhupada is the one that has really saved the whole world. He is the one who came and saved the whole world. And he is the servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. So I can never think of my Prabhupada being anything other than the most faithful, humble servant of his Guru Maharaj. And if our Prabhupada would not have demonstrated that in the most tangible, realistic way that anyone ever could understand that, then how would the movement have started? Because it was by his own personal presence. It was by his own example, what he did, how he came across the ocean. We all knew that he made that journey to save us. And we knew that he made that journey because of the order of his Guru Maharaj. That was very clear to us. So therefore we felt so much a sense of indebtedness and gratitude to him for coming and saving us, stooping down and picking us up out of the gutters. This is what he did. So I can never think of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur without initially thinking of that connection between my Guru Maharaj. So in this way, on this day before Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams at his lotus feet and praying for his causeless mercy. And tomorrow is his actual appearance day, 150th anniversary, and he will be, there will be big festival, obviously, in Chaitanya Mat. I have a desire to go there, to the Chaitanya Mat, and also along the way to pay my obeisances to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, Srila Vaman Maharaj, and all. Of course, we are also going there on the day after tomorrow, on Saturday. But I also have a desire to go there tomorrow and pay obeisances at his Samadhi. And while I'm paying my obeisances at his Samadhi, then I'll also pay obeisances to Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Samadhi. And then I'll also pay obeisances to my Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's Pushpa Samadhi, and all that. And also to Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, because tomorrow they're having festival for his glorification because he disappeared on the appearance day. In 1996, on the appearance day, this Titi of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj left right here in Mayapur. So I also want to hear about that. And so they're having, I'm told they're having some festival there at ISKCON tomorrow. So maybe I'll drop in. And I think his Samadhi is there at the ISKCON property by the Chandrodaya Mandir. Huh? Where is it? Yes. Yeah, that I know.
Yeah, just Bhakti Jara Maharaj, because I visited my Guru Maharaj, the Samadhi Center is Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, I've never seen them. They're, where are they? On the back side of the Chandrodaya Mandir, right? On the back side.
Yeah, Bhakti Jara Maharaj Samadhi is.
Anyway, the way that you get there is you go through that garden in the front, right? You walk, and then you walk behind. Okay, anyway, I want...
I walk always to gate 11.
Okay. Anyway, I want to pay obeisances to Gaur Govinda Maharaj's Samadhi. And, yeah. So I think that's what I will do tomorrow. What do you think of that idea? Anyone can come along if you want.
No class at 11.
What?
No class at 11. No class at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, I think not. I think not, because today we had 2 classes, and then day after tomorrow we're going to have another class and discuss more. And also here they'll have something they'll have here, but I think a lot of them, they will want to also go there to Mayapur, because I think probably they'll have a big feast there, but I'm sure there will be a feast here also. So, let's do it. Huh? Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Hari Bol, 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 Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhari Karmadinari, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiv Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.